Good morning, explorers, and welcome to our online academy. My name is Alicia, and I'm very excited to be joining you this morning. Now, there are lots of ways that you can participate during our class this morning. One of those ways is by texting in. If you have any cool observations, if you have any questions today, I have Miss Kaya who's helping with all of the beautiful images that we have behind us. She's also taking your questions and passing those along. If you are watching this program after our live broadcast, feel free to email us at that live@lbaop.org. So we'll leave that text line up for just a few moments here, explorers. Now, our topic today involves rays. Have you heard of a ray before? Yeah, we have a few. Maybe you've seen them. Look closely, my friends. Can you find a ray in this habitat? So let's take a moment here. And on our adventure, if I said, okay, we're going to be looking for an animal that's shaped kind of like a pancake with a tail, can you find it? So we're going to practice being like scientists today, which means that we're going to look closely to get clues about not only the animal, but the place where that animal lives. Oh, I think I see one. Do you see it? Where's the pancake? There it is. Oh my goodness. So this is one example of the many rays that exist on our planet, that live in our oceans. And I want us just to take a moment to look at this ray. I've already talked a little bit about the shape of this animal, right? So it's a little bit more of what we call a depressed or a flattened out body shape. I have my friend here. Actually, we'll see if we can see my friend. It's green in color. Oh yeah, we can still see it a little bit. That's good. Sometimes with my green screen, my props disappear if they're too green. So here's my ray friend. And we can see that it has that flattened out body shape. And we're going to be exploring a little bit about the different kinds of rays that we can find in our oceans, what they might eat, and just making observations to see how they might best survive in their ocean habitats. Oh my goodness, look, now we have two different kinds of rays for us to compare. Two different kinds of rays. And we'll put up some pictures in just a little bit. So if you want, you can text in and you can tell us your questions or things that you might notice about these animals. Is there anything interesting? So first of all, we're going to explore what makes a ray a ray. What kind of animal is it? Are you a bird? Probably not a bird. Are you a mammal like us? Not really a mammal like us, right? We're pretty different than our friend here. What about a fish? Yeah, we're going to go with that. So let's take a look at what makes a fish and see if we can help us decide not only if this is a fish, but what kind of animal is a ray. The first thing I'm noticing here, hello, spotted eagle ray. This ray happens to have a very prominent, it almost looks like a nose, doesn't it? This is called a lobe, and this is the front of its face. So just to kind of give you where everything is, there's the eye, you probably noticed that. This is the smiling mouth. And then right here, these are its gills. Just like, oh, look at that face. There we go. Ready? Ta-da! So this one has the eyes on top, right? So we can see those eyes on top, but underneath, this is the part that allows this fish to breathe water and take oxygen from the water. So just like, take a deep breath. Our lungs help us take oxygen from the air around us. These gills help fish take oxygen, tiny little oxygen bubbles from the water around them. So they breathe through these 5 gill openings. And we can tell that this is a ray because it has its gills all the way underneath. Its very close cousin, the shark. Here we go. Ooh, thank you, Miss Kaya. The shark also has those 5 gill openings here that you can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But those gill openings are on the side of its body. Now, sharks and rays are cousins to each other. They are a special kind of fish, and the thing that makes them cousins and fish, they have a skeleton just like you and I, but their skeleton is made of something different. I'll give you a hint. It's helping to support your nose and your ears. And if you move your arms or bend your knees, that's what's helped giving us a little bit of movement in our joints. Yeah, you probably go ahead and wiggle your nose. There you go. So what's supporting our nose right here and our ears is cartilage. Go ahead and say that with me. Ready? Cartilage. And it's pretty strong, but it's also flexible. That's why you can make a little ear sandwich. Go ahead. You can fold it in half. Meet, meet. That allows sharks and rays to be very strong but flexible. It also allows them to be nice and light in the water. So their skeleton is made of cartilage, which is pretty cool. Ooh, so here we have a collection. This is our Shark Lagoon webcam. So this is what's happening right now in this ocean habitat. And it's actually a nice comparison because we can see what we say kind of like a typical fish, or what we call a bony fish, because its skeleton is made out of bone, just like a, oh, did you see it? There we go. And here's a fish that has a skeleton made of cartilage, right? That's a shark. That's a blacktip reef shark. So if we were to take that shark and smoosh it down, then we get a ray. So they have a lot of similar characteristics. Now in here, I think she might be over on the side, but we have a very large ray in here, and it looks like a magical carpet. It is very big. So our reticulate whiptail ray, she might even be right over here, actually. Sometimes you can go onto our webcam and see her swim by, and she is much bigger than the sharks and the rays. Oh, thank you, Miss Kaya. Look how gorgeous this fish is. This is a ray, and I want to just take a moment. Do you notice how she's moving? Yeah. So she's moving by kind of extending and rolling her side fins. Those are called pectoral fins. For the shark friends out here, those are the fins right here on the side, right? This is our little zebra shark. Look how cute that face is. For our ray, it extends from their face all the way back, that's okay, to their tail. So they have really large side fins. But look how they use those to swim. This is another kind of ray that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. Look at those beautiful gills that they have underneath. So they move by extending out and swimming. Sometimes they even kind of roll them, those pectoral fins, as you can see here. And they also have a different tail. So let's go ahead and take a look. For our shark friends, maybe we'll go back to Shark Lagoon, Miss Kaya. They have this big kind of flat caudal fin that helps push them through the water. This is how a shark pushes, right? And they steer with those side fins. It is different for a ray. Take a look. So here's the shark moving back and forth. Very good. And we were just seeing that it's a little different for the ray. They're getting that push through their pectoral fins, and instead of having a big flat tail, they have a long skinny tail that they use a little bit more for balance, and we'll talk later for defense, to help defend themselves. So this tail is usually a little bit long and skinny. Ooh, and for eagle rays, that they are very, very long. This is a baby eagle ray. So this one is pretty young, and it has this really long tail. So that's kind of for balance. But you can see, you can be a ray with me. It's swimming and pushing itself through the water using those pectoral fins, and its caudal fin is that long, skinny tail. All right, let's go ahead and investigate a particular type of ray, and then we can look closer to see if we notice anything interesting. Miss Kai, do we have maybe a ray that we can look at closely, maybe a bat ray? So a bat ray, I like to start with because they can be found, ooh, wonderful. And if you visited the aquarium before, you might have had a chance to touch this ray. They can be found in our local waters. They are found right off of our California coast. And you can see they have those big side pectoral fins that connect from their face to their tail. They have a nice tail fin called their caudal fin. That's that long tail. But underneath, oh, there we go. So they live on a sandy bottom habitat, as we call it. Actually, here is another close relative called a skate, another pancake, another pancake shark, as we like to call them. So this ray, this is where it likes to live. When you have a home that doesn't have a lot of things to maybe hide behind, sometimes it's easier to hide underneath. So rays are sometimes very good at shuffling down into the sand, and they can use those side fins to push sand on top of their bodies. And all that's going to stick out would be the top of their face. So they just have their eyes keeping guard, and they have a little hole behind their eye. Maybe we'll go back to the other picture of the bat rays. Because they live in this sandy habitat, it's really important for them. You can actually see it right. There's a bubble coming out of it right there. So if you're like, wait a minute, it always looks like there's two eyes looking at me. Well, one of them is their actual eye, and behind it is a snorkel. I know, kind of crazy. So we said that they have these gills. But if you're taking a nap at the bottom and your gills are covered, it's kind of hard to take water in to breathe. So instead, they have these very special little snorkels that go right behind their eyes. It's almost as like you were to split your nose and put them on the top of your head. It's called a spiracle. And this is an adaptation. This is something special that they have on their body that allows them to hide under the sand for a long time and still be able to breathe. And sometimes they even use this when they're looking for their food. What do you think my friend here likes to eat? I wonder. Miss Kai is guessing pizza. I like pizza. Anybody else like pizza? Yeah. But I'm not sure if it might be a little too soggy in the water for a ray like my bat ray friend. Let's take a look. Now, when we want to learn more about what an animal eats, we can get clues by making observations or looking closely at where an animal's mouth is. Ah! You can smile like a ray. There you go. So this mouth, kind of like my shark friend here, they're not in front, right? So some animals and fish, they have mouths right in front to catch fish or other prey that's right in front. But you'll notice there's no mouth on the top right here. Where's the mouth? You got it. It's all the way underneath. So this mouth is facing down, and that should give you your first hint for where the food is located. So remember we said that bat ray lives on a sandy bottom? So what might be found at the bottom that is in the sand? Now, I'm going to show you another view. We're going to go over to my document camera, and we're going to look closely at a set of jaws, basically looking at the mouth of a ray. This is a model. And we can look at the teeth. So first we look at where the mouth is positioned. Is the mouth facing up? Is it in front? Or is it underneath? We found out that it was underneath. And now once the ray opens its mouth, we can take a look inside and see what kind of tools it has to eat with. That's the other clue. So come on over with me and we're going to take a peek. All right, so we've changed our view a little bit. There's my hand. And can imagine that same ray smiling at us. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here to see if we can get, there we go. That's a nice view here. So you can imagine that same ray going, ah. So this is both the top and the bottom jaw. So just like if you were to just look at a model of your teeth without your gums or the rest of your head, right? So we're looking. Oh my, how would you describe what you're looking at? You are a scientist, and this is the first time anyone had ever peered inside a ray's mouth. How would you describe this to your other science friends? Would you say that they're really big and pointy? Probably not. Are they sticking out all over the place? Yeah, they're not. They're really flat. They're really, really flat. In fact, if I put my finger over them, they're even smooth. Each one of these pieces that I'm touching is a tooth. Some of them are like little hexagons, and some of them are a little bit longer. And they're absolutely flat. What do we use the flatter part of our teeth for? So if you were to bite something and you wanted to eat something that was a little harder, you would probably move that food to the back of your teeth where your molars are a little bit flatter, right? And that's where we crunch our food. So this fish, this ray, has a mouthful of crunching teeth. Having flat teeth gives them more strength to push down, so they can eat some of the hardest shelled animals, like clams. Clams have really hard shells. They have a shell on either side, and it's an animal that, if it really wants to, can pull its shell really, really close, but there's tasty meat inside that this ray wants. So the ray will dig down, do you remember that eagle ray had that long, we call it a lobe or a nose in front? They can use that to dig into the sand. Cow nose rays and even bat rays have these extra little front lobes to help them get all the way into the sand. They'll even take a big gulp of water and go, whoo, and they spit that water into the sand to help clear it away. And they'll keep doing that until they can find that clam or a snail. Snails? Snails for breakfast? Some people like snails. I'm not a fan, but if you do like snails, our ray friends do. I think we even have this really adorable video. This is us feeding our little cow nose rays. They have that extra lobe right here. And we even put this ramp in because they're used to using the bottom of the seafloor to push their food into their mouth. We can help them by putting this ramp. And they take their turn. They're very excited. You can see how adorable they are. And then this is one of our animal keepers. We call them an aquarist because they take care of fish. And they're using some tongs and just placing it underneath. And you can see them using those front face lobes to really get a good view. I'll move out of the way. I'm just too excited to watch this video. There we go. I know, I'm like, let me see it. Make sure you can see it. So they're crunching it up. In that video, it looks like they're eating things like pieces of clam, and they're also eating shrimp. So all of those have those hard shells on the outside, and they just slurp it up. They love it. Oh, they're so cute. And if you've had an opportunity to come to the aquarium, you can pet rays. And rays, believe it or not, take a look at their body. Yeah, they're a little smoother than you might think. They have special scales on their body that are pretty flat. And on top of those scales, they have, are you ready? Kind of gross, but kind of cool. They have a special mucus layer over their body. So this slime layer helps protect them. Oh my goodness. This is a wonderful view of our blue spotted ribbon tail ray. What do you notice about this ray? How is it maybe the same or different than some of the other rays that we've been looking at? Oh, so we have some ideas that maybe there are spots, right? So the other rays that we were looking at, like the cow nose ray and the bat ray, they are using their colors to blend into the bottom. They don't want to be noticed. This ray wants to be noticed. Why would a ray want to be noticed? So we'll talk about that in just a moment here. So it has these blue spots. I do want to say you can very easily notice that spiracle right behind its eye in this picture, which I think is really interesting. So again, its mouth is all the way underneath its body, and it has those flat crushing teeth. This is a smaller ray. You could probably hold it just like this. I'm not sure if the ray would want that, but it would be about the size of your hands. Now, if we were to extend our view all the way out on its tail, we would probably see something special, an adaptation for protection. Yeah, so there are over 500 different types of sharks and their cousins skates, which have, again, that same flattened body. Rays many of them have a protective, what we call barb. And that barb is an extension of one of their scales. Isn't that cool? This fish, this ray, is telling us, don't come close to me. I have something to protect my body with. So a lot of times I use these nice bright colors to give a warning. They'll first hide, and if that doesn't work, they can use those bright colors to say, you know what, I wouldn't make the very best meal for you. If you were to try to eat me, if you were to try to, let's see, if you had a predator trying to grab the ray like this, that barb that lays flat right about here, and we'll look at it under our document camera, they can flick it so it faces up a little bit more, and that would go right into the predator's mouth. Ouch! So sometimes we can find sharks out there in the ocean with ray barbs stuck in them because they have tried to eat a ray and the ray was able to get away. It does take a long time to grow that barb, kind of like when we regrow our fingernails. Again, it's a little bit different. It is the same material as a scale, but it does take them a little bit of time. So they only use that barb if they really have to because it takes a long time for them to regrow it. Let's go ahead. We'll go back over to investigate an example of one of these barbs. So they don't have to be big to have an impact on the predator. I'll zoom in so we can see it. We'll give it just a minute there. All right, so that's a really good view. Again, it's not big. This is pretty tiny. We're just looking at it zoomed in. Take a look. So what I think is interesting is that rays, they don't have those big sharp teeth, so they have something else that helps defend them on their body. Again, this is oh, what kind of ray? You know, I'm actually not sure. I think this might be one of our, this could be one of our local rays that we were able to share or it could have been something. Sometimes we get items like this donated to the aquarium so we can use as teaching tools. So a lot of them have these backward facing barbs, and some of them even have a coating over the top of them so that, you know, if you're a sea lion, for example, which really like to try to eat rays, you know, a big several 100-pound sea lion going for our local round rays, which is really common, the barb is covered in something that makes it pretty stingy. So even though it can scrape or bite, makes it so you probably wouldn't want to do that again. So again, this is a defense. And rays are usually very calm animals. They don't use this barb unless they really have to. Now let's investigate some of the rays that we were looking at earlier. Miss Kaya, there we go. I really wanted to talk about manta rays. Have you heard of manta rays before? Oh my goodness, there are different kinds of manta rays. They're a little bit different. We've been talking about rays that have those crunchy teeth. This ray eats something different. You probably have noticed that the water here is really murky. That's actually good news for our ray friends because it's most likely that floating around in this water are snacks. I know, tiny little snacks called plankton. Can you imagine having to catch tiny little things that you can barely see as your lunch? I know, so you need really special parts to do that. So they have, look at that face. They are filter feeders. They have extra extension. So those lobes are not just used to help move food into their mouth like our other rays were attached kind of like lips. Instead, they have extensions that come out, and when they open their mouth to feed, it helps filter in that water. And with it, they have the food. Now, something special is that when the food comes in, it actually goes through their gills. Do you see their gills? Inside their gills, they have little extra extensions that help them catch their food. It's very similar to, maybe you've heard of a whale shark before. So whale sharks and our manta ray friends here, they have special extensions inside their gills called gill rakers. So as they raw through the water, can be a ray with me, right? They have those lobes on their faces. They're gathering. I think we even have they like to do it at night. Videos of them. So there are reef manta rays that are a little bit smaller. They're still quite large. And then there's the giant manta ray. The giant manta ray, by the way, a lot of these can be found throughout the world. Giant manta rays in particular are found in almost all of our oceans, which is really incredible. And they have been recorded at 29 feet long. 29 feet long. Can you imagine? That's bigger than probably, if you were to measure your room that you're in right now, it's huge. If you ever want an extra activity, you can go out with a measuring tape and some chalk with your family, and you can measure out 29 feet and imagine this giant sea creature, something that to me would be awesome to see. And 23 feet long. So they are wider than they are long. And they estimate that when they're that big, they're over 5,000 pounds. That is a very large animal. And again, they're full of cartilage, which helps make them a little bit lighter. So you know that that's still a very big animal. They estimate, so for most rays and sharks, the average is about 25 years, but they know that by studying some of these big giant manta rays, they probably live closer to around 40 years. If you've ever been curious about that. So these, mantas are one of my absolute favorites. Oh, question is, are they endangered? So a lot of sharks and rays throughout our planet are facing a lot of challenges right now. When you have an animal like a big ray who likes to swim in those open waters, they're sometimes caught unintentionally or by accident by nets. And because they need to move water through their body, having them caught in nets is not good for them. So that's called bycatch. And unfortunately, a lot of these big, what we call pelagic rays that are in these kind of deeper waters, are often entangled in nets. So that's one of the challenges. The giant manta rays are also sometimes directly hunted as a fish to eat, and they don't have a lot of babies. And they grow very slowly. So when you have that combination, it can really impact the numbers that are out there in the ocean. So that was a good question. So again, that's, we were talking about the manta rays, but there are lots of other rays and their relatives. Oh, Miss Kaya put up a mystery animal for us. Is this a shark or a ray? Now remember earlier we gave you a clue based on the gills. Do you remember? So if you see any gills on the side, it is closer related to a shark. If we can't see the gills on the side, they're going to be all the way underneath. So this is, my friends, a bowmouth guitarfish. So guitarfish are closer to the ray family because those gills are all the way underneath their bodies. And they have, I'll show you because I can hold it up, they have really big mouths. Their smiles are really particular. They almost have like a little wavy smile underneath their mouth. And they are very good at eating those crunchy critters from under the sand. And this animal is also an animal of concern. So there are many of these animals that are hunted because they're unique, or again, they're entangled, or their habitat that they live in is threatened, like a coral reef. There are a lot of coral reef animals. Ms. Kai is putting up an example. So the sharks and rays that we've been talking about are all very important to help to foster a healthy ecosystem, meaning that all the animals in here, including our little sea turtle who's taking a nap, and our sharks and rays, all help balance a really healthy habitat. Now, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed learning about rays and friends. I hope you keep exploring. And again, if you have any questions, you can always email in at our live at LBAOP. Take care, everyone, and we'll be back on Wednesday for more programming.